Now we will start 16th group, P block element 16th group. This is also called oxygen family. Sixteenth group or oxygen family. This oxygen family 16th group elements also called chalcogens. These are also called chalcogens. Here chalcogens means ore forming nature. Mostly oxides of oxygen, sulfur, it will be present in the form of ore, oxides and sulfurs, and they are called chalcogens. Now we will see this oxygen family or 16th group elements one by one. First element is oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium, polonium, next livermorium, Lv. And their atomic numbers according to the magic number. Oxygen atomic number 8, so you add 8, you will get 32. Here to here 8. Next selenium, you have to add 18, and here 8 16. I wrote mass number, I wrote here. Atomic number 16. Again 16 plus 18, you will get 34. Again you have to add 18. 34 18 52. Next you have to add 32. So 52 32 84. Then again we have to add the magic number 32. And 84 32 116. These are the atomic numbers 8, 16, 34, 52, 84 and 116. And their electronic configuration. The general electronic configuration of oxygen family or 16th group is NS2 NP4. This is the general electronic configuration, valence shell electronic configuration. Now we can write here accordingly. Oxygen, condensed electronic configuration. Helium, it belongs to second period, so 2s2 2p4. Next sulfur, electronic configuration. Neon, 3s2 3p4. Next selenium, argon, 3d10, d orbital involvement will be there here, 4s2 4p4. Next tellurium, krypton, 4d10, 5s2 5p4. And polonium, xenon, next 4f14, 5d10, 6s2 6p4. And the last element, that is a radon, 5f14, 6d10, 7s2 7p4. This is the last period element, atomic number 116. Anyhow, here polonium is a radioactive metal. Livermorium also is a newly discovered element, but main focus on the first four elements, oxygen, sulfur, selenium and tellurium. A few times we can go with the polonium also. Here first two elements, oxygen, sulfur, these two are non-metals, and selenium and tellurium, these two are metalloids. And anyhow top to bottom metallic nature increases, and these are the metal radioactive in nature, but they are radioactive in nature. Again if you see oxygen, oxygen is the first most abundant element in the earth crust. If you see the oxygen, this is the first most abundant element. In earth crust. So after the oxygen only we have the second element silicon, and next aluminum, and next iron, next calcium and so on. These are the first four elements which are available more in earth crust. Next to again oxygen, it is a 21 percentage by volume available in the atmosphere, but in atmosphere nitrogen is the more abundant most abundant, but in earth crust oxygen is the most abundant element. 21 percentage by volume in atmosphere. If you talk about with respect to atmosphere, there is about abundance of oxygen. Now we will see the general properties of all these elements one by one. General properties. Means the periodic trains and some physical properties also. First, if it is the physical state of these group elements. Here among all, oxygen is the gas and the remaining elements in the solid state. Remaining sulfur, gas and remaining are salts. This is sulfur, selenium, tellurium, polonium, they exist in the solid state. Only oxygen exists in gaseous state at room temperature conditions. This is at room temperature. And again, oxygen exists in the diatomic state. If you see the atomicity of these elements. Generally, oxygen exists in diatomic. O2 and the remaining sulfur, selenium and tellurium. Generally, they exist in octaatomic in state. But again, the top to bottom, the tendency to exist in octaatomic state decreases. Mostly sulfur is important for us. It exists in octaatomic and oxygen is a diatomic. Remaining polonium and livermorium, these are the radioactive elements. No need to worry about those elements. There's some physical trends, periodic trends of these group elements, top to bottom, how they changes. First one, atomic radii. This is a common trend. Atomic radii, top to bottom, generally it increases. Very few cases we can see few group elements exception, but here no exception. In case of 16th group elements, top to bottom atomic radii increases. Top to bottom increases. In case of 13th group, boron, aluminum, gallium, there we can see some exception, but most of the cases atomic radius top to bottom increases. Next, ionization energy. Generally, as atomic radii increases, ionization energy decreases. Ionization energy. Top to bottom ionization energy decreases. Why? Because the nuclear force will decrease in the valence electron. Why? Because the size increases. Then ultimately ionization energy decreases. And next, other properties, electronegativity and electron gain enthalpy. Electronegativity. Electronegativity of these elements again top to bottom decreases. Again, it shows a regular behavior. But we know that oxygen is the second most electronegativity element in the periodic table. First is the fluorine, after that we have oxygen, then after we have the nitrogen. It is the second more electronegative element in the periodic table. And electron gain enthalpy or electron affinity. Electron gain enthalpy. And this is very important. Already we have discussed at the time of periodic table. Here we cannot see the regular trend in case of electron gain enthalpy. Oxygen can have the less electron gain enthalpy. This is the order: sulfur, selenium, tellurium, polonium, and the least one is oxygen. This is very important order. Electron gain enthalpy for oxygen is less. Generally, if we see in the periodic table, second period elements, they are having less electron gain enthalpy compared to the next higher period elements. Generally, electron gain enthalpy top to bottom decreases. But so second period element should have the more electron gain enthalpy compared to the third period. In case of oxygen, sulfur is the third period element and oxygen is the second period element. So oxygen should have the more electron gain enthalpy. Why? Because general trend is top to bottom electron gain enthalpy will decrease. But in this case, exception. Always third period element, they are having more electron gain enthalpy than the second period elements. Why? The reason is electron gain enthalpy. First, what it is? It is the energy released when electron is added to the valency shell of isolated gaseous ion, gaseous atom. Let me take one isolated gaseous atom and the valency shell. Anyhow, the individual atom, it has the electrons in its valency shell, and to this valency shell will add externally one electron. Then some energy can release, and that released energy is called electron gain enthalpy. So how much energy is released? If more amount of energy releases, it indicates more electron gain enthalpy. But in case of oxygen and sulfur, if you observe, oxygen, the size is very small, but whereas the sulfur, the size is more, and in the valency shell of the sulfur, we have the d orbitals. D orbitals can accommodate almost 10 electrons, but oxygen case, we have only s and p orbitals. They can accommodate only 8 electrons. Already in oxygen, we have 6 electrons are there in the valency shell, but the space is only very less, 8 electrons only it can accommodate. In case of sulfur, again we have 6 electrons are there, but we have much, it can accommodate 12 more electrons. The space is more, empty space is more. So we can easily add electron in case of sulfur valency shell than the oxygen. When you add electron in the oxygen, all electrons present very close to each other, and that can give the repulsions. And due to this repulsion, the energy released will decrease, and also the tendency to add electron also will decrease. And that is why oxygen can show the less electron gain enthalpy than the remaining group elements. Similarly, in case of 17th group also, fluorine can show less electron gain enthalpy than the chlorine, even though more electronegative in nature. Again, the same region due to the small size. More number of electrons cannot accommodate at the small size region. And this order is very important, you should remember. So next, melting and boiling points, other properties. Melting points and boiling points. Again, top to bottom melting and boiling points will increase because top to bottom size increases. As the size increases, van der Waals forces increases. As the van der Waals forces increases, melting and boiling points increases. But again, a small anomalous trend here. Anyhow, oxygen is having less melting and boiling point than sulfur, selenium, but tellurium is having more even if you compare with the polonium. This is it. This also you should remember, melting and boiling point. Anyhow, electron gain enthalpy, that is very important. These are the few physical properties, general properties. Next we will see the chemical properties of these group elements. So first one, we should know the oxidation state. Oxidation state of these elements. The most common oxidation state of this oxygen family is -2. Common oxidation state is -2. but the tendency to exhibit this minus oxidation state will decrease top to bottom. Oxygen, sulfur, selenium, these can show mostly minus 2 oxidation state. Tellurium, if we go on from top to bottom, the tendency will decrease. So apart from this, these group elements can show other common oxidation states also. They are like +2, +4 and +6. These are the other common oxidation states. Here stability of higher oxidation state will decrease from top to bottom. Means higher oxidation state is a +6 oxidation state. So for these elements, the stability of +6 oxidation state top to bottom decreases. Oxidation state decreases. From top to bottom. If you move from sulfur to selenium to tellurium, a +6 oxidation state will decrease, and stability of +4 oxidation state will increase, but lower oxidation state stability, the two +4 oxidation state increases. So from top to bottom. Why? Again the same reason, that is due to the inert pair effect. So generally tellurium cannot show the +6 oxidation state, very hardly it can show. Mostly it can show +4 oxidation state due to inert pair effect. Again the reluctance of NH2 electrons. We have the valency shell NH2 NP4, and these two electrons will not involved in bond formation. Only the NP4 electrons involved in the bond formation. Hence it can show +4 oxidation state effectively than the +6. Which one? Tellurium. In case of tellurium we get this. Next, again here oxygen can show variable oxidation states. The oxidation states of oxygen. It can show oxidation state -2. This is very common oxidation state. Apart from this, it can show -1 oxidation state also. And it can show -1/3 oxidation state. It can show 0 oxidation state. It can show positive oxidation states also, +1 and +2. Anyhow, -2 very normal cases. Let me take example for water. -1 mostly in case of peroxide, and one more -1/2 also. -1/2, this is in case of superoxide, and -1/3, this is in case of ozonides. Let me take potassium ozonide. Here oxygen oxidation state -1/3, 0 elemental state O2, and this positive oxidation states, anyhow we know that when it is combined with the fluorine, O2F2, and this is +2 OF. So only when combined with the fluorine it can show positive, but remaining cases it can show minus oxidation states only, that is -2, -1, -1/2, -1/2. Yeah. These are some different oxidation states for oxygen. Similarly, sulfur oxidation states also important. Sulfur can show again oxidation states from -2 to +6. -2, -1, it can show 0, +1, +2, +4 and +6. Like this it can show. -2 is how in sulfides, hydrogen sulfide. -1 monohalides case. Like H2S2, like this one. The 0 elemental state octatomic. +1, this is monochlorides or halides, and this +2 dihalides, and +4 tetrahalides, +6 hexahalides. It can show the oxidation states. Variable oxidation states for the sulfur. The remaining elements oxidation state not that much important, but the common oxidation states are +2, +4, +6, other common. This is oxidation states. Next here, oxygen can show anomalous property. Next here, we have anomalous behavior. Generally, second period elements can show some different properties compared to the rest of the group element, that is the third and higher period elements. Again, the reason same as like in the 15th group case, nitrogen shows anomalous behavior. Similarly, here oxygen, same reason. This due to the small size, high electronegativity, and absence of d orbitals. Absence of vacant d orbitals or absence of d orbitals. So these are the reasons. Due to this, it can show some anomalous behavior. Where, especially if you see water and the rest of the hydrides. Let me take H2S, hydrogen sulfide. Here water exists in the liquid form, but hydrogen sulfide, the remaining hydride, they exist mostly in the gaseous state. Why? Because oxygen, due to the high electronegativity, it can form strong hydrogen bond. Here water can form the strong hydrogen bond, but there is no hydrogen bond in case of hydrogen sulfide. So this is one of the anomalous behavior. Next to covalency. The maximum covalency for second period elements, it is 4, but again in case of oxygen, it cannot be on 2. Mostly it can show the covalency 2, very rarely 3, and rare 4 also very rare. It cannot exceed more than 4. Maximum covalency is 4, but it show rarely more than 2. You can see hardly the compounds with covalency 4, but covalency 3 we can see in case of H3O plus ion, where it can form 3 bonds, and in hydrogen bonding, water can show 4 hydrogen bonds. Water can form 4 hydrogen bond with oxygen. There also you can observe that 4 bonds. Like this, very rare cases you can observe 4 bonds, 3 bonds, mostly 2 bonds. So in this way, oxygen can show some anomalous behavior compared to the group elements, and also it can form only p-pi bond. Only it can form p-pi bond. It cannot form p-pi d-pi bonds. Only p-pi. With itself. Other chemical properties, reaction towards hydrogen, just as like 15th group, the same chemical properties, reaction towards hydrogen, reaction towards oxygen, and reaction towards halogens. I will take up here the same. Chemical properties together. First one, reaction towards hydrogen. Generally, this type of elements can form the hydrides like this. The H2O, H2S, H2SE, H2T. I will discuss mostly this. H2 polonium anyhow radioactive. You can go with these 4. First, the properties. First, we will see the bonding nature. What is the bonding nature? There is a hydrogen and elemental bond. Hydrogen and element. Let us see hydrogen, oxygen, first element. and hydrogen, tellurium, the last element. The electronegativity difference between the hydrogen and oxygen is very high, and so this bond is very stronger bond. It can form a strong bond. And here hydrogen, tellurium, the electronegativity difference is very less, so it can form a very weak bond. Anyhow, strong bond required more energy to break it, and weak bond require less energy to break it. So we can say easily, based on this bonding nature, the thermal stability, top to bottom thermal stability decreases. We can easily break the molecule. Next, the remaining properties we can give the acidic nature, reducing nature also we can easily give based on this bonding nature. Acidic nature, top to bottom. And this tellurium hydride bond can break very easily, so it can donate hydrogen very easily, H+. So, hydrogen telluride is a stronger acid compared to the water. Top to bottom acidic nature increases. Next, reducing nature, that is also depends on the tendency to donate H, hydrogen. Again, top to bottom, the hydrogen can donate very easily, so reducing nature also increases. We can write these points here. First one, thermal stability. Thermal stability from water to hydrogen telluride decreases. Selenium and tellurium. Acidic strength. And this is also very important, acidic strength top to bottom increases. Water is less acidic compared to the H2S, H2SE, H2T. The same trend for reducing nature. Same in case of 15th group hydrides and 16th group hydrides, these properties are same, reducing nature. Reducing nature top to bottom again increases. Next, this is very important, boiling point. Boiling point order. Generally top to bottom, the molecular size increases, the weight increases, and van der Waals forces also increases. The boiling point should be increased top to bottom. But again, exception with the water, due to the hydrogen bond, water is in the liquid form, the remaining are gases. So gases anyhow they are having less boiling point compared to the water. One irregular behavior. Water can show more boiling point. Then after the boiling point will decrease. So you will get H2T then after, and H2SE and H2S. Why? Because these three are gases at room temperature and water is a liquid at room temperature. This is the reason. So why it is a liquid? That is due to the hydrogen bond. Next, one more important trend here, bond angles. This is also very important. Bond angle. Same just like 15th group hydrides. Top to bottom bond angle decreases. Water is having more boiling point, bond angle than H2S, H2SE and H2TB. Water bond angle, that is 104 degree due to the presence of two lone pairs, and the remaining, again these hydrides bond angles almost close to the 90 degree. Here H2S almost close to 93, this is 92, 91, but overall they are close to the 90 degree. Again the same reason, due to the Dragos rule. What is this? There is no involvement of hybridization. In case of H2S, H2SE and H2TE, no hybridization. So here central atom orbitals behaves as a pure atomic orbitals only. In case of water, this is sp3 hybridization. If there is involvement, there is a concept of hybridization, involvement of hybrid alphas. That can give the 104. But these are experimentally, according to Brago's rules, and there is no hybridization, they can show angle almost equal to 90. This bond angle also very important. These orders we should remember for hydrides. Then next, reactivity towards oxygen. Generally, these elements can form two types of oxides, that is EO2 dioxides and trioxide. EO2 and EO3 type oxides. E means element here. It may be sulfur, selenium, tellurium. This oxygen anyhow it will merge within this. Not sulfur, selenium, and tellurium. We'll see the dioxides and trioxides properties. First, let us take dioxide. SO2, SeO2, and TeO. And here ozone and sulfur dioxide are in gases in nature. And these are the gases. But selenium and tellurium dioxide, they are the solids. Again, if you see the top to bottom, generally acidic strength. Take sulfur dioxide, selenium dioxide, and tellurium dioxide. Oxide acidic strength top to bottom decreases. So sulfur dioxide is more acidic in nature than the selenium and tellurium. And also sulfur, it is in plus 4 oxidation state. And this is in plus 4 and this is also in plus 4. A sulfur dioxide can act as a reducing agent. Preferably it is a reducing agent. Why? Because sulfur dioxide always try to become into plus 4 oxidation to plus 6 oxidation state. Sulfur in plus 6 oxidation state is more stable. Lower oxidation state to the higher oxidation state. So that is a reducing behavior. Sulfur dioxide can act as a reducing agent. The sulfur dioxide to selenium and tellurium, the reducing behavior decreases. So mostly tellurium dioxide can act as an oxidizing agent. Why? Because it cannot go to the plus 6 oxidation state. This is not possible. Why? It is more stable in plus 4 only. Lower oxidation state, it is stable. So preferably tellurium dioxide acts as an oxidizing agent. And sulfur dioxide, reducing agent, it also acts as an oxidizing agent also. Both properties, but tellurium dioxide is only oxidizing agent. So reducing nature decreases. If they ask reducing nature order, sulfur dioxide to tellurium dioxide, it decreases. And these dioxides, when react with water, they can produce os acids. Sulfur dioxide, if it is dissolved in water, you get sulfurous acid, H2SO3, os acid. And here, again one more point here, sulfur dioxide, selenium dioxide. These are generally acidic in nature, acidic oxides. But tellurium dioxide is amphoteric in nature. This is also very important, you should remember. So these are the few important points about dioxides. Next, trioxides. What are the trioxides? Sulfur trioxide, selenium trioxide, and tellurium trioxides. Again, acidic strength top to bottom decreases. Sulfur trioxide is a stronger acid than selenium and tellurium. And also same the solubility order in water. When sulfur trioxide dissolve in water, it can form ic acids. You'll get sulfuric acid. Yes, mostly they'll ask you on the acidic strength. And if you compare dioxides and trioxide acidic strength, let me take sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide. The same element, the oxide, element with a higher oxidation state is more acidic in nature. So sulfur trioxide is more acidic in nature than the sulfur dioxide. And the next one, reactivity towards halides. Third, reactivity towards halides. And here also they can form various types of halides. They are like hexahalides, elemental EX6 type, and tetrahalides, EX4 type, dihalides, EX2 type, and dimeric monohalides. Monohalides in dimeric in nature, E2X2 type. We can see one by one. First we will go with hexahalides. Hexahalides. Anyhow, hexahalides case, among all halides, fluorides are very stable in nature. Among hexahalides, hexafluorides are stable. Why? Because chloride, bromide and iodide, they are having larger in size. They cannot stabilize due to the steric crowding. So, among hexahalides, hexafluorides are stable. In the two, sulfur hexafluorides are very stable. And among all, sulfur hexafluoride thermally more stable. Is thermally more stable in nature. It is less reactive towards water, and if you hydrolyze it, it cannot undergo hydrolysis. Less reactive in nature, no reaction. But whereas other halides, like tellurium halide, if you see tellurium fluoride, tellurium hexafluoride, it can undergo hydrolysis. But sulfur hexafluoride will not. Then it can give telluric acid, H2TeO6. And the stability of these halides, if you see, sulfur hexafluoride is more stable, then selenium hexafluoride, then tellurium hexafluoride. This is the stability order of various fluorides like sulfur, selenium and tellurium. Anyhow, sulfur hexafluoride, it is a important compound. It is inert in nature, less reactive, and it can act as a thermal insulator. Due to the thermal insulator, we can use this as the electric insulator in high voltage transformers. The application of sulfur hexafluoride, it is used as gaseous electric insulator. In high voltage transformers. And also we can use in switch gears. These are the applications of this. So why it is a gaseous electric insulator? Why? Because all hexafluorides are gases in nature. And also you should remember all these are gases. All hexafluorides are gases in nature. This is few important points about hexahalides. Next, tetrahalides. Again, preparation of tetrahalides. Generally, tetrahalides we cannot prepare direct attachment with the, especially fluorides, direct reacting with the fluorine. Because finally they can give hexafluorides when you directly react with the element with the fluorine. For the preparation of tetrahalides, you can take up these reactions. These are the few preparation methods of tetrahalides. Sulfur dichloride, if you take sodium fluoride, you get a sulfur hexafluoride. And sulfur can react with cobalt fluoride, sulfur tetrafluoride, cobalt difluoride. You should remember these two preparation methods of sulfur hexafluoride. So, not required all preparations, few are enough. And again here, hexahalides case, sulfur tetrafluoride. This is a gas, and selenium tetrafluoride. It is in the liquid state. Top to bottom, sulfur, selenium, tellurium. If you go on top to bottom, the physical state will change. And next, tellurium tetrafluoride, it is in solid state. Gas, liquid and solid, sulfur, selenium, tellurium, they are respective. And one tellurium tetrachloride, when it reacts with HCl, it can form this one of the complex tellurium chloro complex H2TeCl6. These are few important chemical reactions related to the hexahalides. Just you go through. This SF4 sulfur tetrafluoride is a powerful fluorinating agent. Powerful fluorinating agent. You can see the chemical reaction here. So this fluorine can take by this boron. It can exchange the fluorine. Fluorinating agent. You will get boron trifluoride. And if you see the stability of these tetrahalides, generally fluorides can form the stable halides, whether it is a dihalide, tetrahalide, hexahalide. Then fluorides, chloride, bromide, iodide. This is general stability order. Here if you see the stability order of various tetrahalides, sulfur tetrahalides generally more stable in nature, then selenium tetrahalides, then tellurium. And with the same element, again fluorides are more stable. Let me take SF4, then SCl4, then SBr4, then Si4. General. In place of sulfur, you can take some element. Fluorides, chloride, bromide, iodide. Fluorides are more stable than chloride, bromide and iodide. These are the two stability orders for tetrahalides. Enough. These points we should remember about the tetrahalides. Next to dihalides.
So, by explanation.
Next we can see dihalides. Here, except selenium, the remaining elements can form mostly chlorides and bromides. This point also you should remember. except selenium. Remaining elements can form chlorides and bromides. See how sulfur dichloride, sulfur dibromide, tellurium dichloride and dibromide like that. But there is no selenium dichloride. Chlorides, bromides. Anyhow, among all dihalides, the well-known compound is sulfur dichloride. SCl2 is the well-known compound. So actually, it is a false smelling. You should remember the characteristic property of sulfur dichloride. It is a false smelling red liquid. False smelling red liquid. This we can prepare by taking a monodimer of that sulfur halide, treat with the chlorine, get 2 moles of SCl. Sulfur monochloride to the sulfur dichloride. Again, one more important point about this SCl2. SCl2 or S2Cl2. Either S2Cl2 sulfur monochloride or SCl2. They can react with organic compound ethylene and they can form one war gas, mustard gas. Can form mustard gas. When react with ethylene. It is also very important point. You can see the chemical reaction here. Sulfur dichloride. You treat with ethylene. This is ethylene. You take the 2 moles. It can give the mustard gas. This is the structure of mustard gas. So actually it is not a gas, it is a volatile liquid. But the name is the mustard gas, but it is a volatile liquid. Sometimes they ask the question, among the following which are the gases? If they give mustard gas, this is not a gas, it is a volatile liquid. These are the few important points about the dihalides. Next, monohalides. We can go with dimeric monohalides. Last one. So, mostly the monohalides are in dimeric nature only. Most of the well-known dimeric monohalides are these S2F2, S2Cl2. Instead of SF, they can exist in the dimeric form. H2Br2 and Se2Cl2, etc. But these monohalides easily can undergo disproportionation reaction. Here the elemental oxidation state is +1. So they can +1. They can undergo higher or lower oxidation state, disproportionation reactions. This is also very, very important. These halides can undergo disproportionation reactions. So one of the well-known disproportionation reaction given in the NCERT, selenium chloride. It can give selenium tetrachloride and selenium. Here selenium is in +1 oxidation state, will change to +4 and 0. Yeah, this disproportionation reaction you should be the result. Some other few important reaction in here. that is about S2Cl. It can undergo hydrolysis. It will give sulfur dioxide, sulfur and 4H. This is one kind of a disproportionation. Again here sulfur plus 1, plus 4 and 0. And one more important point about S2Cl2. It is a toxic yellow liquid. We have SCl2 is a red, but this is a yellow liquid. Toxic yellow liquid. This can be used generally vulcanization of rubber. Used in vulcanization of rubber. These few points you can remember. Next, structures of all these halides. Sometimes they lost the structures. It has to go with hexahalides. Sulfur hexahalide. Like sulfur hexafluoride. It is sp3d2 hybridization and octahedral in geometry. sp3d2 octahedral geometry. Hexafluorides. Tetrafluorides and sulfur tetrafluoride. The geometry is like this. We have one lone pair. It is sp3d hybridization, seesaw geometry. sp3d with one lone pair, seesaw geometry. In the sulfur dichlorides or difluorides, they are having two lone pair like water molecule. sp3 hybridization, a bent shape or angular shape or V shape. They can give it. Last, dimeric monohalides, that is S2F2. It is similar to the hydrogen peroxide, open book structure. It is similar to hydrogen peroxide, open book structure. These are the structures of these halides. So these general chemical properties: hydrides, oxides and halides. In the next class we will see the oxygen, its preparation process.